You know that feeling. You walk into a room and something shifts. Your chest tightens. Your thoughts start racing. And suddenly, you're hyper-aware of every move you make. How you're standing. What your face is doing. Whether you seem normal. And the worst part, nobody around you seems to feel it. Everyone else looks fine. Easy. Like they got some instruction manual you never received. But here's the first thing I want you to sit with. That feeling of being the only one. That's part of the anxiety itself. Social anxiety is deeply isolating, not just because it's painful, but because it convinces you that you're uniquely broken. That everyone else is naturally comfortable in their skin, and you're the one running some kind of glitch. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And that's exactly what anxiety does. It pulls you out of what's actually happening and traps you inside a version of events your mind constructed. A version where everyone noticed, everyone judged, and everyone cared far more about you than they actually do. So let's talk about what's really going on, and more importantly, what you can do about it. When social anxiety kicks in, your brain has made a judgment call. It's decided that the social situation in front of you is a threat, not like a lion, but close enough to trigger the same ancient alarm system. Your heart rate climbs, your focus narrows, your mind starts scanning for danger, and the danger it's scanning for is judgment, rejection, embarrassment, being seen as less than. Here's where it gets philosophical. Why does that feel so threatening? Why does the opinion of strangers, or even people you know, carry so much weight? Aristotle called humans social animals, not as a compliment exactly, but as a description of something fundamental, that we are wired at our core for belonging. We don't just want connection, we need it. And so the fear of being cast out, of being seen as unworthy of belonging, isn't shallow vanity. It's one of the deepest fears a human being can carry. You are not overreacting. You are running very old software in a very new world. The existentialist philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre famously wrote that hell is other people. And if you have social anxiety, you've probably felt that in your bones. But what Sartre was really pointing at wasn't that people are bad. It was that the gaze of other people has the power to define us, to make us feel reduced, seen, exposed. Social anxiety is, in a way, a hypersensitivity to that gaze. You feel watched, even when no one is watching, judged even when no one is judging, and the prison you end up in isn't built by other people, it's built by your anticipation of them. Understanding that doesn't make the anxiety disappear, but it changes your relationship to it. The Stoics had a practice called distinguishing between what is up to us and what is not. What other people think of you, that's not up to you. What you do, how you engage, how you respond to your own fear, that is. And when you start living inside that distinction, something quietly shifts. You stop auditioning for other people's approval and start making choices based on your own values instead. Now here's the practical part. Because philosophy without action is just decoration, the first pattern to break is avoidance. When anxiety spikes, everything in you wants to shrink. Pull out your phone, find the wall, leave early. And the relief you feel when you do that is real. But it's costing you. Every time you avoid a situation, your brain files it away as confirmation that the situation was dangerous. The avoidance is what keeps the anxiety alive. The Stoics would call this a failure of virtue. not in a judgmental sense, but in the original sense of the word. Virtue to them meant to living in accordance with your nature and your reason, not surrendering to fear. So the work, and it is work, is to stay, not to perform confidence you don't feel, just to stay and let your brain collect evidence that you survived. Start small, order the coffee, ask one question in class, text someone first. These aren't just social skills tips, they're philosophical acts. They're you saying to your own nervous system, I don't accept your threat assessment, I'm going to gather my own evidence. That Socratic method applied to your own anxiety, questioning the assumption, testing it against reality, refusing to let an unexamined fear run your life. The second pattern is the story. Social anxiety is a storytelling machine. It generates narratives at lightning speed. They think I'm weird. That pause in the conversation was because of me. I said the wrong thing. And because we're the ones generating these stories, we treat them as facts. But the philosopher Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the greatest Stoic teachers, said that people are disturbed not by events, but by their judgments about events. The situation isn't the problem, the interpretation is. And interpretations can be changed. When you catch yourself spiraling, pause and ask, is this a fact, or is this a story I'm telling? Then ask what a fair witness would say. Not an optimist, not someone trying to make you feel better, but someone actually looking at the evidence. Most of the time, there is no evidence. You felt uncomfortable, and your mind dressed that discomfort up as proof of something that almost certainly isn't true. The last thing I'll leave you with is this. A lot of people with social anxiety are waiting to feel ready, waiting to feel confident, waiting until they've figured it out enough to finally show up. But the philosopher Aristotle had something to say about this too. He believed that we become what we repeatedly do. Courage isn't a feeling you wait for, it's a practice. You don't think your way into bravery. You act imperfectly in the presence of fear, and slowly, through repetition, the fear loses its grip. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are someone whose nervous system learned to be cautious in a world that felt uncertain. And now you are learning to teach it something new. Socrates spent his life arguing that the unexamined life is not worth living. You, by even watching something like this, are doing the opposite of that. You are examining. You are questioning. You are refusing to let fear be the last word. That's not a small thing. That's exactly where it starts.